We don't have to know the falx cerebri or the tentorium cerebelli. So we're going to start with the arachnoid mater. The arachnoid mater is what you see. Mater.
Toe mater.
Arachnoid mater. Arachnoid mater, or layer, whatever you want to call it, is the thing you're seeing right here. It looks like this whole thing is in shrink wrap. This would be inflated slightly if CSF was running through the subarachnoid space. And then the pia mater is below the arachnoid mater. And then cranial nerves, 2 on the sheep brain. We need to know these 2 here, right? The olfactory is here, right here. Then right behind it, you can see the optic chiasm, or the optic nerve. I don't know if I'm saying chiasm right. We'll just go through the list. Okay, we know that. So in the telencephalon, we're going to see is the cerebrum. Your cerebrum is all this guy, all this wrinkly stuff on the outside. It's composed of gray matter. Your gyri are your little sort of hills here, made up of the folds of the cerebrum. And your sulci are the little tiny spaces in between them, these little lines. The transverse fissure, you have fissures in sulci. The transverse, if I can see it on this one, he's got the one with the really good transverse fissure.
Transverse is just what separates the cerebellum from the cerebrum.
So it's this guy?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. So it's a transverse fissure, longitudinal fissure. You can see it here. It just runs all the way through, and the only thing separating it, like you would hit the corpus callosum right here. But besides that, you can just sort of stick your finger like right down there. The corpus callosum is here. The mushroom guy, right here. The fornix, we said, I think, was the inferior portion. So you have corpus callosum, and then the fornix here. The septum pellucidum is right in between those things. You can see the tissue right here. Okay, so right in between these 2. Lateral ventricles. If you go deep to the septum pellucidum, you can open this thing up and you can see inside. Up here, so these are your lateral ventricles inside of here. Okay. The choroid plexus. Where's that thing you were using to like pry it open? I think it's this thing. Please hold. You see that red thing in there? Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
It's a red thing. Choroid plexus, and that is made of ependymal cells, not ependymomus. Ependymal. The ependymal cells, and they create cerebral spinal fluid. Okay, so that's it for the telencephalon. The diencephalon, or the diencephalon, is composed of the thalamus and the hypothalamus. And you can see the thalamus here.
So we have the telencephalon,
right here. And then below that, you have the hypothalamus. Right there. The pituitary gland, we already said, is right here. I think we already said that. And the pineal gland, out here it's been dissected out. One half of our brain got the whole pineal gland, but it would be sitting right here, right below the corpus callosum.
Telencephalon is just
the mammillary body, you can see here, but it's right behind the optic chiasm. So it's this little nub right here above the pituitary is your mammillary body. Now moving down to the mesencephalon, it's going to be, this is where I'm sort of fuzzy, but it's like right here. It's made of the mesencephalon. Help me out. Pons and
cerebellum.
Pons in the cerebellum.
Pons is
help me out with the meso then.
Mes is
cerebral peduncle.
Oh, okay.
And
Cerebral.
quadricetum.
Thank you. So let's start with the peduncles. The peduncle on this sheep brain is really big. It's basically this area. Peduncle. It's right here. And then the corpora quadrigemina is here, but you'd have 2 sides to it, and they're composed of superior and inferior colliculi. So here's your superior colliculus, inferior colliculus. Yep. Cerebral aqueduct. Here's your cerebral aqueduct, and it's leading down to your fourth ventricle, which is right under the cerebellum. Runs right through there. So this is the third ventricle. It goes lateral ventricle. There is no ventricles 1 and 2. So this is just your lateral ventricle. Then here, containing the thalamus and the hypothalamus, and there's space in between both sides of the thalamus and here, would be your third ventricle. Then you have your cerebral aqueduct running down behind the thalamus, down into the fourth ventricle, which is everything down along here. So that's the fourth ventricle. I did the pons. The vermis we haven't done yet.
Yep.
So here's your small brain. So that was dealing with like primitive stuff, functions. Gray. All this gray stuff is the cortex, just like your cerebrum has a cortex. Then on the inside you have this main thing here running through. That's called the arbor vitae or something. Vitae. But then all the branches coming off. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's the vermis.
The branches are the arbor vitae.
Thanks. So the vermis, arbor vitae, coming off of that main structure. But in the middle here, I guess, Dalton was saying that this connects the two sides of the cerebellum. Sorry. And so we know that. And then the medulla oblongata runs down from here all the way down to where you see this little line is the central canal of the spinal cord. So the spinal cord runs up to where you see that central canal end, and then everything up here to here is going to be your brainstem. And that is the list.
Start over now.
No.